Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's Reddit Quickie from the subreddit HFY, called Falling From High, written by Legal. The link to the original will be down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Falling from on high, the commandos huddled together closer as they heard their craft rumble and shake as it began to enter the planet's atmosphere. Their chamber was barely big enough to hold the five of them, an oppressing red light washing over them and the chamber itself, making their black forms even more ominous. They checked their gear 3 times before being fit the chamber to have the wall sealed into place. There was no talking because everything had been said before. They just listened to the howling around them. 5 figures huddled close as their craft continued to shake and rumble. Then the light turned yellow as they turned to face the same wall, shuffling closer to it. Outside, they could hear the stresses of the atmosphere burning up the rest of their craft. This wasn't some assault ship or a re-entry vehicle. They weren't riding anything with engines, all made for more than one purpose. They were riding an asteroid fitted with a small, specially designed compartment, and the exact moment necessary to prevent them from dying horribly. With the asteroid itself, enough material had burned off of the outside of the rock, and the capsule dropped free. They jerked in the force just as the capsule fired the only positioning booster to counter the spin of the wall in front of them was blasted away. With that, they were loose, 5 jumping together at the same moment out into the blackness. Behind them was an asteroid burning up in the atmosphere. Its job done. The black suits falling from the black into the amber light of the sunset. They were on the verge of the very atmosphere now, the stars shining bright above them as they began to fall. Each spread out, twisting their bodies left or right in order to form a wide 5-point star. As they continued to fall, they could see the clouds, cities, rivers, lights, and all stretched out before them. They were bathed in the light of the planet's star as it set, rising just above the curve of the planet to illuminate their fall. They were falling back into the darkness as they kept their eyes opened. Their internal computers chimed in warning as it spotted a xenocraft through their path to fall. Without speaking, they all twisted and turned, veering away from their current lines to stream past the craft, before turning and twisting once more to return to their formation. Their computers chimed at them again, and the automatic chutes snapped up, sapping some of their speed before breaking away to keep them from falling smoothly. The planet was getting closer, the rivers growing larger, the cities brighter and clearer, and the clouds hanging just before them as they flew into the white puffs. As they entered the cloud cover, they knew that the sky would be dark now that the sun had set. They quickly activated their suits, chunks of them falling away, removing heat shielding as the 2 arms and bipedal legs became more clearly visible. Small thrusters puffed out as it worked to continue to sap their speed until the computers were confident in their velocity. Now they were falling out of the clouds into the night sky, the city gleaming bright before them. Black fabric extended from their sides out along their arms and between their legs. These creatures had been born without wings, but made their own. Their hard armor casings were moist from the dew collected in the clouds. They had been born without shells or scales, so they made their own. Their target was just in front of them now, white spires twisting and rising up to the heavens surrounded by green gardens. Their thrusters on the suits activated once more as they drew close, turning them feet down as back chutes opened up to let them glide gently down to the surface, feet moving as they hit the ground. The 5 quickly pulled their chutes free, balling them up and tucking them into a pouch in their suit. They pulled their weapons free of the special casings that had been set on their backs. They had been born without fangs or claws, but gladly made their own. Naked metal gleamed in the soft light, and they had an edge of the garden, knives being fastened into place before they quickly checked their rifles. Aside from a single figure wielding a stocky cannon they referred to as a shotgun. Weapons checked, they looked around at one another, nodding before they started their advance. 3 hours ago they had received word that the 2 VIPs had been ambushed at a museum on the otherwise idyllic planet. Their cruiser had quickly approached the planet as close as it dared and launched the asteroid to deliver these 5 figures to the planet to secure them while the rescue was worked out. The figures moved in complete silence, not even speaking over their short-range radio in case the enemy was listening. They advanced through the halls dedicated to art, culture, and peace, and they found the central garden in a complex. In the bright lights of the complex, they could see carnage. Green, pulped bodies were strewed across the place. Deep gashes in the stone told of something big enough to claw through it. Energy bolt impacts left dark spots all across the white stone, and in places there were holes from larger explosions. But all the bodies were the same. So their VIPs had not fallen here. They followed the claw marks in the stone, silent black figures slipping through the manicured gardens, brightly coloured flowers swaying in the evening breeze around them as they advanced. They neared a path heading to a small landing area when they finally took cover as they saw the enemy. 4-legged crab-like Xenos that had been setting up fixed weapons, drilling the supports into the legs into the stone. Clearly, these were AA weapons. Barrels pointed to the sky. They wanted to stop someone from leaving, it seemed. They hadn't heard the black figures approach, and as soon as one of those black figures nodded, they were cut down where they stood, those black rifles in their hands emitting a soft ch-ch-ch, instead of the usual loud explosions given off by the ballistic weapons. The crabs, who had been setting up the AA batteries, weren't even aware their comrades around them were falling before they were all dead. The black figures reloaded and advanced down the now unguarded path. They saw the backs of far more crabs now, energy weapons in their claws or matter slammers on their shoulders. They were hunkered down behind the smouldering remains of a private transport. 2 larger metal crabs dragging them into place to provide cover from some tall metal bird in the open field before them. The black figures took cover along the path before they were spotted as one of them used his suit visor to enhance his vision. The metal bird was standing in front of a transport, blocky and efficient. A bipedal creature was leaning up against the airlock, purple gunk smeared all over his arm and face. The metal bird was cracked, impact marks across the front, the faint glimmer of blue sparkling now and then showing its shield that was nearly dead. It stood tall over the bipedal figure, and the crabs gathered for an attack. But that attack never came. The black figures advanced, ballistic weapons firing, as one wielding a shotgun slung it over and charged in. This figure approached those 2 metal crabs as it pulled out a small black boxes from its belt and slapped them onto the torsos of the metal crabs. These creatures had been born without claws, strong enough to crack such tough shells. So they made their own. With 2 explosions, the metal crabs fell, and the figures advanced around the makeshift barricade that the crabs had made. The metal bird shifted for a moment, obviously uneasy and unsure. The black figures rounded the vehicle instead of the crabs. The black figure in front finally spoke. "Emily Earhart?" "Yes," came an uneasy answer from the metal bird. "We're here to help." The metal bird sagged a bit in relief as the black figure with the shotgun advanced to the human leaning against the ship. He kneeled down over him for a moment and then looked back to the one that he'd spoken to with a nod. With the help of another black figure, they began to load him up onto the ship. "I'll get him into the cargo hold," the metal bird said, walking to the back of the ship. The 3 figures remaining outside when they heard the cries of surprise coming from the path leading to the docking area. They faced the barricade and then backed up as something large charged out the path, climbing up and over the barricade and facing them in one charge. This thing was twice as big as the metal crabs, and covered in an armoring that might have been found on a tank. It had massive claws and smaller forearms, and it clutched massive metal blades. This was a creature that had been born to kill, to fight, to destroy. The 3 figures looked at it, and when it bellowed in rage, they each tossed a small black cylinder at it. The light that filled the area was blinding as it held and shifted, stomping those many pointed things into the ground beneath it. Once the creature's vision started to clear, it heard the whine of an engine, and the blocky vehicle that it had sought to stop rose into the air, turning and flying off. The creature howled once more in anger, the rage filling the night as its prey escaped. On board, a message was being sent to the cruiser, waiting in the void far above them. Package secure. AA in place, seeking cover in wilderness, awaiting further orders. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.